Hello, everybody, and welcome to this special broadcast of Open Your Channel to the Divine as part of our journey of the Master Podcast series. This is a very special episode in honor of some exciting things that we have going on. First and foremost, you might see behind me our newest book, You Are a Channel, Receive Guidance from Higher Realms, Ascended Masters, Star Families, and more, is now available in paperback, ebook, audiobook. I know many of you have already purchased your copy. If you haven't, I really encourage you. If this topic is near and dear to your heart, this for me is the manual that I have created from teaching over 5,000 students around the world how to open their channel to the divine, as well as some incredible stories from my students and powerful activations from the council. So I really encourage you to check that out. We also have a very special announcement today, so stay tuned and we'll talk about that a little bit more. But today we're going to talk about how yes, you can access divine wisdom. And I want to begin with this. Everyone, yes, everyone has a innate, inherent, natural connection to the divine, to divine wisdom. In fact, we intended to come here and know that we always had this connection to our higher self, our soul, our loved ones, and the ability to communicate with higher realms, to communicate with your body, to communicate with your future self, as well as your guides, your team, your own counsel, the ascended masters, the angelic realms, and so much more. You never intended to come here and do this all on your own and try to quote unquote figure it all out from our human perspective. So I really want to start there as we talk about how you can open your channel to the divine. I want you to know absolutely everyone has this connection, has this ability. Everyone has this higher wisdom that is available to them. And so I really want to emphasize that because I think what happens for a lot of people sometimes is they see someone maybe channeling like I do verbally the counsel, and they don't believe they have that gift. They don't necessarily want to channel verbally like I do, or they've maybe tried it and it wasn't exactly how I do it. And so they think somehow they're doing it wrong. Or the same with animal communication, or the same with mediumship. I explore this a lot more in the book, all the different types of channeling. And I do that so you can discover your unique gifts and abilities. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more. So everyone has a connection. It is natural, it is inherent. You came here knowing you had that connection and intending to use that connection. Many people believe that because it doesn't express through them the way they see someone who's maybe a professional channel or medium or animal communicator, they don't do it that exact way. So they don't believe they're really channeling or they're not doing it right. And one of the things I want to tell you first and foremost is there's no right or wrong way. Again, you're opening your natural channel conduit to divine wisdom, divine light, divine love. And it truly is meant to be easy. And I think a lot of people think, and I know I did at first, because at a young age, I was actually exposed to, or introduced to, better said, verbal channels that back in the 80s would come into someone's body. That person's consciousness would leave the body. This being would talk through them, and then that being would recede, and the person would come back. Notable examples of that, like Joseph Campbell, when they did A Course in Miracles, when Seth Speaks was written. My aunt had a very particular spiritual teacher that she loved named Mafu. Another popular one at that time was Ramtha. So these people had those types of experiences. So when I first started channeling, I thought I was doing it completely wrong. I thought I wasn't even really channeling. And I doubted myself so much because I wasn't having that experience. I was still conscious. I could hear what the council was saying through me. And although my voice changed and the cadence of my voice changed, I was still somewhat present and I was more translating the streams of thought that were coming through, not so much leaving my body, which is what a lot of people think channeling is. In my personal experience and teaching over 5,000 students around the world, I find that most everyone that I encounter is a conscious channel, meaning even though they might be in some sort of trance state, their consciousness isn't leaving their body. And the other thing to know is that's one example, but there are many, many examples of how you open your channel to the divine. And that can be expressed through music, art, poetry, gardening. You can even, and I think this is the most important thing I want people to know. In my experience, receiving guidance from higher realms and opening your channel to the divine does not mean this big, loud, booming voice of God shows up and sits in front of your face and tells you what to do or tells you what to say. It's a part of you. It's already within you. So it's going to be often easier than you can imagine. And it's more subtle. It feels much closer. Other people think that, oh, it's this big out there energy that comes and takes over you. And I will say, in my experiences, my very first experience communicating with higher realms was when my brother transitioned in 2001 in a car crash. That was my very first experience of receiving spontaneously communication from my loved one on the other side, or what most people would refer to as mediumship. Everyone has this ability, and I want you to know that. It may not be your most forefront gift, but everyone can tune into that. And I'm going to talk more about that. My next experience with channeling was through spontaneous automatic writing, although I had no idea what automatic writing was at that time or how to intentionally summon guidance through automatic writing. And then some years later, I was doing a QHHT session, which is a modality discovered by or created by Dolores Cannon with a dear friend who was a practitioner who at the time I had just met. And when I really opened my channel to the divine, at first to my higher self, and then eventually to the council, I have to just tell you, it was an energy, but it wasn't an energy that was outside of me, sort of taking over me. It was this feeling of absolute liquid love, pure love, and an intense, amazing love. But I also recognized that it was my love. It was allowing all of myself or my connection to the divine. And so you might notice that as well. You might notice that as you focus on opening your connection to the divine, you feel more peaceful, you feel more whole and complete in your being. You're raising your vibration, you're raising your frequency. And so be gentle on yourself wherever you are. And as I mentioned, we have a very exciting announcement. By popular demand and request, we have created an new, updated, expanded version of our channeling course, which over 5,000 students have taken, called the same as the book title, You Are a Channel. This course is going to be live starting on July 23rd, 2024, and you are all invited. In fact, I would love to have you join this course. Whether you are new to channeling and have no prior experience with channeling whatsoever, whether you've dabbled in it and it's still not consistent and something that you feel comfortable with, or if you are one of the alumni of our Art of Channeling or semi-private channeling experiences, we have added many, many new things, new tips, new tools, new techniques, new exercises, new information, new stories. And so all of you are invited, and I really hope that you will all participate in this. I think there is nothing more important going on the planet right now than every single one of you opening up your channel to the divine, to higher wisdom, to your higher self, your angels, your guide, your loved ones on the other side. And I can tell you, the council says many times that consciousness is the answer to everything. But as you raise your consciousness and you raise your vibration and frequency, you are accessing more and more that is available to you. And to consciously, intentionally be able to open yourself to higher wisdom and receive guidance from higher realms is what heals you, is what brings you into new levels of your own worthiness, your own personal power. It's what allows you to create your life the way you want it to be and to really play and create with all of the beings, the energy, the consciousness, your loved ones on the other side, the higher selves of your loved ones here and now. This is the way we intended our lives to be. And there really is this call at this time for all of us to fully open our channel, which is why we are doing a updated, expanded version of the Art of Channeling called You Are a Channel, the course. This course will be live starting on July 23rd, 2024. And if you're joining us live, it's important to know that registration will close at the start of session one, which is 12 p.m. on Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024. If you happen to be listening to this sometime in the future, go to our website, saralandon.com. We will be offering this course again in the future, so you can join the wait list if you are listening to this sometime in the future. But all of you here on live have the opportunity to be part of the live course starting on July 23rd called You Are a Channel. So I hope to see you there. So one of the things I really want to emphasize, and our dear Sarah Elizabeth, who will be reading the questions that are submitted today in the Q&A, which we will get to shortly, mentioned how important it is taking care of your body. Your body is truly the vessel for you to access the divine. And so sometimes what I notice with people is they are so frustrated in their body, or they're so overwhelmed with all the work they're doing or the things they have to get done, that their body isn't really allowing fully, not that it's intentionally withholding anything, but because of maybe the stress or the overwhelm you're feeling in your life, or if you're struggling with pain, people are trying to force their body into this channeled connection instead of connecting with your body and exploring together your connection to higher wisdom, but most importantly, together preparing your physical body for higher levels of vibrational frequency, energy, light, and consciousness. And so for me personally, at that point in time, which so many of you are living at such incredible levels of consciousness and vibration and frequency, the integration of your channel to higher wisdom is going to be a more easy, effortless, harmonious process, especially using some of the techniques and tools in the book and that we will discover in the course. It is about preparing your body to be the channel that you are, or the conduit of divine love and divine light that you are. For me, that took quite a bit of time because I kept trying to push and force, and my expectation, sort of say, the comparison that I had going on, the challenges, the fears that I had really were creating a lot of resistance in my body that was making opening my channel to the divine so much more difficult than it needed to be. So my intention is that I will teach you how to care and integrate your connections so that you can really prepare your body to be the beautiful conduit of divine wisdom that you are here to be on earth. And I'll say one of the most memorable messages from one of my students, the beautiful Dawn, was when she asked her body for a message, fully expecting you need to work out more, you need to eat more of that, you need to eat less of that, you need to do more of this, fully expecting that sort of message from her body. When she tuned in using the processes that I teach in the You Are a Channel course, the message she received from her body was, just love me. Just love me. And that message went on, and I will share it in the You Are a Channel course. But that message went on to share so much more from her body. But that really was the essence. And all of those who have heard it, myself included, often tend to feel that, wow, that's exactly what I know my body would say to me. So it's really powerful. And I think what people don't expect, and certainly what I didn't expect, two things. In opening your channel to the divine, you will heal things that you never even knew were keeping you from being all that you are, and keeping you from sharing your gifts and your abilities with the world, and keeping you from living the life you want to live. I witnessed some of the most incredible, powerful healings as a result of people opening their channel to the divine. Probably one of the most significant examples of that are the many students I have had who have lost a child or a spouse or someone very, very close to them, including an animal, where they were just in such grief. However, when they were able to tune into their loved one on the other side using the processes that I teach in the You Are a Channel course, they were able to open their direct connection to their loved one on the other side. And that grief was really transformed into love and a connection with their loved one now in higher realms, but in some case, even more beautiful than their relationship was, even as beautiful as it was in physical form. They are just continuing their journey together as their loved one is in higher realms. But you never intended someone's transition out of the physical form to be the end of your relationship with them or the end of your ability to communicate with them. And for me, some of the most amazing healing that I have seen as students have gone through the channeling course is them opening their own connection to their loved ones on the other side, which is really powerful. For me, channeling healed me physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, on every level. And the council said, when I first started channeling, if you will live this wisdom, if you will live the wisdom that you channel, you will live a life beyond your wildest dreams. And I can tell you, opening my channel to the divine is what has allowed me to really reconnect or connect to the highest vision for my life, the highest potential for my life, and most importantly, live it and create it. And you can live it and create it in your reality, your highest potential, the highest vision for your life. Opening your channel to the divine is what allows you to access the consciousness, the energy, and the light to literally live and create the highest vision and the highest purpose for your life in form. And that might be one of the most incredible things about opening your channel to the divine. And yes, I have seen students create the most amazing healing opportunities for others when they share their gifts of being able to open to the divine. You're also helping other people remember their own connection when you share your gifts. I have many students that channel professionally in all sorts of different ways: animal communication, angel communication, communicating with loved ones on the other side, art, poetry, books, verbal channeling, automatic writing. There's really no end to how you channel source energy into your experience to live your truth, to share your gifts, your abilities. Not everyone wants to do it professionally. And I absolutely love sharing the counsel with the world and being a verbal channel and sharing their incredible messages. But I also notice it is throughout my everyday life, all day long, that opening this channel to the divine allows you to live a more harmonious, beautiful, miraculous, magical life. So you don't have to want to do this professionally to take the You Are a Channel course. Many people do want to have some sort of professional or service or offering as part of their channeled abilities. Many of my students are in positions in corporate world, such as management. Others that have maybe left the corporate world to start their own practice as a spiritual guide or a life coach or a mentor, and they're integrating their channeling abilities in their support of others and their own coaching or professions where they're empowering, inspiring, and uplifting others, including all of their gifts and abilities from the divine. So, uh, one of my very favorite chapters in the You Are a Channel book, the power of healing, really, that comes through in channeling. So I encourage everybody to, if you're going to join the course, absolutely get the book. If the course isn't in your budget or something you feel called to, get the book and start there. They are designed to work together to support you in every way possible. The book is really designed to be a manual for the course is meant to fully open you in every way to your connection to divine wisdom and higher realms. One of the things, and I did view a couple of the questions, and I want to mention this because I think this is a very popular question or a frequent question that we get. People having some sort of spontaneous experience, like I shared, I did communicating with my brother on the other side, receiving automatic writing, and then eventually verbally channeling the council. However, even though I had done all of those things, I really wasn't fully giving permission for divine wisdom to come through. And I want to share with you one way that this really showed up in my life. If you know me, animals are my absolute love and joy. I absolutely love animals. I have my own little animal farm here, and I love animals of all kinds, whether they are elephants in the safari, my beloved dogs, cats, horses, farm animals, wild animals. I just really have always, my whole life, felt an incredible, intense connection to animals. And so, even when I was teaching the very first art of channeling class that we did, I would share all these different ways that you can channel. I would give examples, I would give stories. We talk about how to access those particular things. And yet I still kept animal communication off in the corner over here. And I would tend to gravitate towards someone in my community, a student or someone that I knew that was an animal communicator to actually bring through messages for me from my animals on this side and on the other side. And I realized in teaching that course the first time that I really wasn't fully giving permission for my ability to communicate with animals to come through. And I had the aha moment. It was because of my great love for animals that I was almost afraid to open that connection. But I realized in that fear, I wasn't fully allowing my connection to source and higher realms and everything that was available to me. And so I'm going to take you through a process in the course, the You Are a Channel course, that will allow you to really fully give permission. If you feel like you're stuck or you're still dabbling or you're kind of accessing it, but not totally accessing it, it's about giving permission, and we will go through a beautiful process, and it's incredible for me to be part of and to guide you through it because I can literally feel people's channel opening as we go through that process, about giving permission, which we will do together in the You Are a Channel course. The other thing people I see gravitate with a lot is being sort of in fear what other people are going to think of you, uh, what could come through, fear of really knowing the answers to your questions. Most importantly, and most common, and usually most unrecognized, is the fear of your power, the fear of your own power, the fear of really opening your channel and being as powerful as you really are. So if you're stuck in some way, I would invite you to really watch that, observe that, bring that to your awareness. For me, uh, I I have so many incredible people in my life, my family, friends, coworkers, and I didn't want to lose them if I came out publicly and shared my channeling. I was in fear of being judged or not accepted, or worse, no longer being the part in part having those people as part of my life or being part of their life. And so it took me some time to really fully give permission and move from that state of fear to, first off, absolute love and acceptance and understanding for myself. And I found that once I got to that place, that's what was reflected back to me from others. And so it's a very common thing to have fear. So if you're feeling stuck or like it's not really happening for you, or like sometimes you tune in, but other times it's not available to you, really be aware of that, because that fear creates a whole lot of resistance that doesn't allow you to really get into the vibrational frequency of opening your channel to the divine in a way that is easy, effortless, harmonious, and most importantly, intentional and consistent. And I want to mention that for many, many years of my life, any sort of connection to the divine was spontaneous. I didn't know how to consciously, intentionally tune into that and open that connection and receive that guidance. And I want you to know that everyone has the ability to consciously and intentionally open their channel to the divine in any moment. And in doing so, I find that more and more and more spontaneous experiences actually occur that expand all that's possible and expand the discovery of your abilities and your talents and your gifts. So it's a beautiful dance, because you're going to have this intentional, consistent connection to the divine, and you're going to have those incredible magical moments where spontaneous things happen that expand your awareness of your gifts and your abilities. So we'll talk more about that in the You Are a Channel course. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but everyone's way really is unique. And I first discovered this in a course that we did, a channeled course that was called the 11 Spiritual Roles of the Soul. And it really helped me to understand, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in the You Are a Channeling course, that some people are messengers, some people are seers, some people are here to be way showers or guides or uplifters or connectors. And so not all of my students verbally channel. Not all of my students love automatic writing. Not all of my students do art. Not all of my students do music. Not all of my students are mediums. It's all available to you, but everyone's way is unique. And within that, all of my students that are animal communicators each have their own way, their own process, and a unique way of expressing their particular gift. The same is true with my students who are mediums. I can think of three different ones off the top of my head that all connect to the loved ones on the other side, their own loved ones on the other side, and their clients' loved ones on the other side in completely different ways. Some people will say, "Send me a picture of your loved one. Tell me just their first name and send me a picture." And then they allow through a week or two that person to come at the divinely appointed time. They write down everything that that person said, and then they type it up and send it to that particular client, their message from the loved one on the other side. Other people do live Zoom sessions where the loved ones on the other side will come in and speak through them as the channel and the medium. And so there's a lot of different ways. I have another student that actually paints images of people's loved ones or paints the messages from someone's loved ones on the other side. And so there's so many different ways. And myself as a verbal channel, one of the things I absolutely love, I could think of many students who came to my class and said, "Oh, I have no interest in verbally channeling." And now they are some of the most incredible verbal channels, and many of them do it professionally or do it for others, and they're just incredible at it. But none of us do it the same. And so early on, I not only didn't really think I was channeling and doubted it and caused so much stress and overwhelm for myself, because I was comparing myself to channels that I had seen 20, 30 years previously that did it very differently than me. But I also compared myself to other professional channels, people that you would see on YouTube or having workshops or events. I compared myself to them because I didn't channel the way they did. I channel with my eyes closed. Sometimes they're open, but really for me to translate the incredible, intense love and consciousness that is coming through when I'm channeling the council, it's just easier for me to close my eyes and really stay in that process of bringing through that message. And so everyone's way is unique. And through the You Are a Channel course, you're going to discover your own unique abilities. And the best part is they will just continue to expand and expand. I can say almost every single day in some way, I notice the expansion of my own channel to the divine. And even more blessed than that uh, is seeing my students and how their gifts and abilities are expanding and how things are opening up for them and how they're using the wisdom that they channel to transform their lives and connect to their highest purpose and potential and live that and create that in their life. And that truly is so incredibly rewarding. So, first off, if you're here, you have a gift and ability. You may not know what it is. You may want to feel more love or feel higher vibrational frequencies. And you may have no particular interest in being a verbal channel. That's perfect. You might be here because you really want to take your connection to the divine and use it to communicate with animals or people's loved ones on the other side or channel for yourself. It's all perfect. And you're always going to discover more and more and more of who you really are, how powerful you are, and the gifts and the abilities that you came here with. We came here with this wisdom, and you're just rediscovering the wisdom within you and remembering your gifts and abilities. So be gentle on yourself, have fun with all of this, start to tune into it. If you are drawn to channeled information or something like this, you are a channel. Everyone really is. But those who feel the sort of call to it, this is the time, this is the place. Your gifts, your abilities are ready to come through you fully in their unique, incredible way. And as you do all of that, you will naturally be raising your consciousness, naturally raising your vibration. The cells in your body begin to regenerate and rejuvenate at a higher rate. You start to notice you have a greater and greater capacity for love. You start to notice that in any sort of situation, you go to a higher perspective. In any situation, you go to a higher perspective versus getting entangled in chaos and trauma and drama and struggles and issues. And so, opening your channel to the divine truly has endless, endless, endless gifts, blessings, rewards, benefits. So, you're in the right place. And I hope you're loving this conversation. So, as a reminder, the You Are a Channel course starts live July 23rd, 2024. Get your book, which is an incredible manual to help you as you navigate through your connection to the divine and participate in our You Are a Channel course, which truly is for everyone. If you're sitting there going, oh, I don't even know. I've never had an experience. I don't even know why I'm here. You're meant to be here. And of course, we'd love to have you in the course, as well as all of you who are incredible masters at channeling. I have discovered through my students, through my own expansion, so many more things that I want to share with you that I think will help all of you to expand your channel as well. So, this special broadcast includes questions from all of you about this topic of opening your channel to the divine. So I want to bring in Sara Elizabeth on our team. Hello, hello. She is going to be asking the questions that have been submitted here on this live call. So, Sara Elizabeth, how are you?
Doing very well. Thanks, Sarah.
Wonderful.
I think you've covered a lot of these already, but we have some amazing, amazing questions that our attendees are submitting live today. And there are a couple of really important ones that I just want to get out of the way straight out of the gate. The first one comes from Niels, who says, some say that you shouldn't try to develop this kind of ability as a channel, since it's not good for you, that it's not healthy to do this, and we will all get it sooner or later when we individually are ready for it. What would you say about that, Sarah?
Well, I would say certainly don't try to push and force an effort and don't hold yourself in a place of, oh, because I'm not channeling, somehow I'm not enough yet, or I need to make that a goal or a job. That's not it at all. I go back to this is an innate, inherent, natural ability that we all have. You have just spent the majority of your life focused elsewhere, going to the logical mind, talking about your problems and issues, holding yourself in the vibration of the problem and the issue instead of tuning into higher wisdom. You never intended to come here and not remember your incredible connection to the divine. I also want to emphasize that uh, you wouldn't even be drawn to this if that wasn't the time, right? There's that powerful quote, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So if you've drawn this into your experience, then on some level, your soul, your higher self is really calling you to your innate, inherent connection to higher wisdom. I am not advocating that everybody needs to be a verbal channel. Many people won't pursue that route, or that's not something natural for them. Many people will not have necessarily an interest in connecting to loved ones on the other side, although I see that as a consistent theme. But as a minimum, to be able to use the process that we talk about in the You Are a Channel course to just open your connection to divine love and divine light, that is something that we intended to be our way of being. So you're not trying to make it happen. It's already there and available to you, and you're accessing your innate, inherent abilities. So I appreciate that question very much, and I think that's an important conversation to have.
Yeah, and I think that's a beautiful answer. Really, not forcing it matters so much. Our next one is from Danielle, who says, "Can lower vibe entities come through when I'm channeling? And if so, how can I recognize them?"
Oh my gosh. Well, it's a big part of the You Are Channeling course. It is a big part of the You Are Channeling book. There's an entire chapter on it. And I can't say this any better than saying, when you fill yourself up with all of you, the light that you are, your own personal power, the love that you are, when you open your channel and you feel those vibrations and your frequencies and you really fill yourself up with the love that is you, even if there were some sort of negative quote unquote energies out there, it couldn't come anywhere near you. You literally would shine so brightly it couldn't come anywhere near you. Now, that being said, as I've said, I've taken over 5,000 students through the Art of Channeling course, which is now the updated, expanded version. You Are a Channel. And I have never had an experience of any of that. However, the question that was just asked is a very, very, very common question.
I think it's a common thing for people to be concerned about. And once you know that it's pure
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
and that's all you can be, it's a
I shared
it's
this
a soothing
story.
answer.
Yeah. Yeah. I shared the story in the book, because there's really no better example. I had a neighbor who's knew that I was spiritual and channeling and had written some books, some of my previous books. And her daughter was not sleeping at night because a ghost was coming to her and the spirit was coming to her and she was really scared. So she couldn't sleep at night. And this had been going on for quite a while. And she asked me if I would, talk to her daughter. And what I said is, you know, anytime that you're feeling, in the middle of the night, you might feel maybe that ghost is there or maybe that spirit is there. I said, I want you to close your eyes and I want you to go into your heart and I want you to think about all the things that you love. I want you to go within yourself and go to your heart. And I want you to think about everything that you love: your mom, your dad, your dog, your family, your grandma, your favorite food, your favorite thing to do after school, your favorite thing to do in the summer, the friend that you love the most. And I want you to think about everything that you possibly can that you love. And when you've thought about everything you love, I want you to open your eyes. And one time of doing that process, and she was back to sleep, sleeping through the night, no longer afraid of ghosts. In fact, reported to me that she wasn't afraid of things like that at all. And that's a perfect example. And that's a simple process that a child could do. And it's a simple process that we all can do. But that is how you really fill yourself up with all of you. And when you do that, your experience can only be that of love.
Beautifully said. We have quite a few questions today around a topic that you've already addressed, which is how unique and personal one's abilities are, but also the way that one connects. very, very personal. One question from Lisa. She says, my mind is very active. When I channel or do automatic writing, the most difficult part is discerning my intuition or higher self from my mind. I notice the higher wisdom comes through, yet immediately my mind jumps in before I get the chance to receive the message. I'm reading your book, and any additional suggestions you have for me to hear the higher self message before my mind sneaks in there would be really helpful.
Yeah, again, a very, very common question. There's an entire chapter of it in the book, and we're going to cover this extensively in the course. First off, when you are going into the state of judgment of, oh, that's my mind, not my higher consciousness. Oh, that's my mind kicking in, not my soul. You're instantly going into this separation and you're separating things out. And mostly what we do is we judge the mind and say, oh, I don't want that here, right? Your mind is what is allowing you to receive this message and translate the information and write it or communicate it. And so allow your mind to be a peaceful and embraced participant in this process. Don't judge your mind. Don't try to get rid of your mind in this process. Assure your mind that you're going to bring through this message. And I think the example was using automatic writing. And the one thing that I have found to really integrate the mind, getting it working with you, and your mind learning to trust your connection to higher wisdom is after you do your automatic writing. And if you feel the higher minds come in, just invite it in and keep going. Invite it in and keep going. Invite it in and keep going. When you're done, read the message to yourself out loud or have someone else read the message to yourself out loud. And you're probably going to notice that if it were coming from your mind, instead of being a message like we often receive, you're exactly where you're meant to be. Everything is unfolding for you. You're loved, you're supported, you're guided, and I can give more examples. And if I think about what my mind is usually saying, it's, oh, you gotta, get that errand done later today. You gotta get that done. You gotta get that done. And that's not bad and that's not wrong. So don't try to get rid of that part of you. The more that you embrace that part of you, the more your higher mind, your consciousness, and uh, your higher wisdom begin to work together. The more your mind, and higher wisdom all begin to play and create together and collaborate harmoniously in that experience. But read your messages back to yourself out loud. And I have students in particular that when they do automatic writing, they literally have mastered this in such a cool way where they will ask a question from their logical mind and then they'll take a breath and then they just start writing and they're channeling higher wisdom. And then their mind will kick in and ask a question about that message. And then they'll take a few breaths, go back into the process that we teach in the art of channeling, and they'll bring in wisdom from their higher self. And they have really done this in such a beautiful way that it allows the messages that are coming through to be so much more expansive because they are embracing those questions or those thoughts that come in from your logical mind. So I hope that was helpful.
I think that's going to be tremendously helpful. Another one along a similar line comes from Naoko, who says, I've just started learning how to channel in English, but my mother tongue is Japanese. I wonder if my higher self or guides will come through in English or Japanese.
Well, I can tell you, I have many, many students that speak multiple languages or a couple of different languages. Their native language may be German, and they can also receive messages in English. I think it's all perfect. So, whatever is most comfortable for you, if you are easily bringing in messages in Japanese, keep doing that. If you feel guided to start bringing through messages in English, do that. You may also combine them in some way that ends up being a unique ability that you have to bring through messages in both languages. And so, a couple of things. I'm going to talk a little bit about light language. I talk about it in the book. We're going to cover it in the You Are a Channel course. I see it as one of the very up and coming ways that people are discovering their channeling abilities. And so light language is this cosmic language of the soul. Our souls all recognize this language, but it doesn't pose the limitations of some of the words or terms that we often use in the human language. For example, years ago, if I heard the word God, I almost immediately would shut down and no longer listen because I had associated that word with judgment. Now, when I hear the word God, my heart opens and expands. But some people don't prefer the word God. Some people prefer the word the divine, source, creator. Some people prefer other words. So we get stuck on those things. And light language is a beautiful way to bring through messages and healing and vibrations and frequencies to you and to others without the limitation of language. And so another question that I get asked frequently, and this is what really excites me. Like I said, our students have been from all over the world speaking all sorts of different languages. And for example, in Japanese, you may be placed precisely where you are meant to be to bring through messages from higher realms to your culture, to people who speak your language. I have a student that comes to mind that's in Germany, and same thing. She was trying so hard to make it American and trying so hard to make herself do it in English. And quite simply, the guidance came through. No, you're in Germany, you speak German, and it's easiest for you to channel in German because that's where you're meant to be. That's really where your gift and ability is so unique compared to what others are, not compared, but it's your unique expression. So I encourage you to play with it, whatever's easier, whatever's fun, but don't feel like you have to perfect it in English if it's more harmonious and comes more effortlessly in Japanese. And that may change someday. That may change someday. You may discover that. So I never intended to teach people how to channel. It was never a thought in my mind. And I got the guidance to start taking one-on-one students many, many years ago, and that I needed to help other people with their channeled connection. And then one day, never thinking it was even possible, I got a very clear message that I needed to start teaching groups how to channel. And never in my wildest dreams would I have ever thought I was going to write a book on a channel. So it's just an example of how things expand. You're going along, you're using your gifts, your abilities, it feels really good. And then all of a sudden, this expansion occurs, or this awareness of something more that's coming through, or this inspiration. So it's always a journey that's unfolding, and just have fun with it and be gentle on yourself exactly where you are.
Beautiful. And speaking about expanding your abilities, Julie asks, can I call in an experience of channeling that is different from how it currently presents to me, such as trance channeling?
Absolutely. And, I think the more and more, if that's something that you want to explore and experience, it's more and more and more about the words that are coming in, um, truly becoming one with the divine, right? Truly becoming one with the divine. And so, if that is your intention, first off, that came from somewhere, right? That curiosity, even if it's a curiosity, came from somewhere. So, the more you focus on it, maybe you want to explore how different types of trans channels experienced it, like Edgar Casey. Did I say Joseph Campbell earlier? I meant Edgar Casey. Edgar Casey, or some of these other channels, like how the Seth Speaks books were written, or A Course in Miracles. And so those are different examples of trans channels. And yes, if I said it earlier, Joseph Campbell, I meant Edgar Casey. Edgar Casey's like, no, it was me. So
But
yeah,
clearly,
good
someone
question.
here has a connection to Joseph Campbell.
Well, he's one of those brilliant, brilliant people that inspired me tremendously, and probably many of you. So I have no doubt that he's here and part of the council as well.
Absolutely. And again, expanding on that question, Andrea says, I'm having a hard time finding my gifts. I feel like I want to do it all. What is a good way for me to hone in on my personal gifts? Is channeling the best answer?
Well, again, so channeling really is you opening your connection to source, your higher self, your soul, all that you are. And so when we try to get really specific sometimes, it trips us up. and we get overwhelmed and we create resistance. And so, if you're feeling any of that or any sort of confusion about what next step you should pursue and which gift and which ability, come back to your connection with your higher self, your soul, the part of you that is pure source energy. Come back to that place of oneness, stillness, wholeness within yourself, and then let the energy and the light guide the way. And I can give you so many different examples of this, but simply ask the question, what would bring me joy in this moment? What would bring me joy in this moment? What would be fun? And go do that, right? That's a big example of following the energy and the light. And it may be seemingly unrelated to opening to your channeled gifts and abilities, but it might be perfectly orchestrated for you to become more clear on your gifts and abilities. Really good question.
So, we've talked a lot about different ways that channeling shows up and how you can use them for yourself or for other people. But we have several questions about more what we would call day to day or practical things. A perfect one from Emily. How do you suggest connecting to divine wisdom for smaller everyday matters, like where to shop, whether to attend an event, the best form of exercise on a certain day, etc., especially a decision that need to be made rather quickly while not necessarily in a traditional channeling state?
Yeah. So, first off, it is not about closing your eyes, taking deep breaths, mantras, and getting into this channeled state. It is about really living a channeled life and having a relationship with your channel. And so, just like any other relationship, the more time you devote to it, the more attention, the more you have harmony within your relationship with your channel. It is not, it's really about embodying your connection to the divine all day long, all throughout your day, and noticing that it's very clear what the next step is. It's very clear whether to go or not. There is this awareness around you. You're aware of the energy and the light that is guiding you and is you. That light is you. And so, for me personally, I can channel a 2 hour session with the council and then get in my car. And I notice that that awareness, that connection is always there guiding me. And it's not some big formal process. Once you understand the channeling relationship and that it really is about living it in your everyday life, as well as any sort of particular gift that you want to further explore. And so, perfect example. Uh, one day I was doing something that I do every single day, and I was going the same way that I go every single day. And I was just present. I didn't do any formal process, but I was just present. And the thought came, or the inspiration came, maybe I'll go this way today. It was a different way than I ever go. And I went that way. And when I got back home, my partner said, "Oh, whatever you do, don't go this way today because there's these huge traffic jams." And so it's little things like that. It wasn't about, "Oh no, I hope I don't take the wrong way." It's just about being open to that inspiration that will guide you all day long if you will allow it. And remembering that it's a relationship and a lifestyle. Channeling is not just about, um, doing a free reading for someone or doing a reading for someone or posting a message on Facebook or doing a channel experience or doing animal communication, and then you shut that off and go be practical, right? It's about really embracing all of you, all of your abilities, all of this source energy and divine wisdom that's available to you every moment of every day. But really good question.
Yeah, and if I may, I would
Please.
say that you might even find any of you who have mentioned that you're finding yourself blocked or sort of maybe plateaued, that your message is really similar all the time and you're wanting the next thing. Maybe just relax a little on that for a while and go be you day to day and find
Yeah.
that flow state because I personally find that it's a lot easier for me to exist out there in life and recognize that flow state because I haven't put up some resistance because there's not some,
Yeah.
ritual that I'm doing to drop in or anything like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree with you more. In fact, uh, perfectly to what Sarah Elizabeth said, if you are feeling any of that, Go do something you enjoy. Go do something fun. Go ride a bike. Go for a walk. Go watch clouds roll by. Go play
Drive, that's one of
basketball.
the easiest.
Oh, for me, I agree. For me, getting in the car and just driving, and I realize, oh, I'm right back in the flow. And some of the most profound messages that I get come when I'm driving. And I'm not
Uh,
looking for it. I'm just there driving, going where I'm going, and there it is.
that's the key. It's that I'm not looking for it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Such a good
that's what I
reminder.
think the
Thank you
key
for
is, at
that.
least.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we have multiple people who have said, hey, I've had this connection in this way or that way before, and something happened and I feel like I've lost it. So I'm going to read a question from someone that's a good representation of that group. It comes from Robin, who says, my art has always been my connection with the divine, but over the past several years, I've had health issues that have made me physically unable to do my art any longer. How can I find that connection again?
Yeah, and this is a fair question. In fact, I remember someone I met years ago, and she said, "Oh, I used to channel, but I can't anymore." And I thought that was so interesting. Part of it is if you always found it in one particular place, like art, and that's where you associated your connection to, and you feel like you've lost that, especially if you feel like that ability's been taken from you with health challenges, other things, sometimes that creates some resistance and frustration where you begin to doubt your ability to tune in, or you're so specific about how it should be and it isn't that way, that you're not allowing the new, more expanded, that may be even more fun and more beautiful ways of connecting to the divine. In fact, one of my particular students is in her 80s, and she, health wise, she has pain and some issues and things that are going on. And so to write or to paint or those particular things didn't feel good to her. And so she created this sacred time to really, what she said, play with the divine. And so her way is going into her imagination and playing and creating and channeling source energy and higher wisdom in this beautiful state where she's not doing anything, she's not writing anything. She's just created this sacred time every day to connect to her soul, her higher self, and the divine. And she really plays in that time. And so, for an example, if you go to the gym every day, or some sort of physical activity that you like to do, or something that you do, a hobby every day, you start to prepare, your body starts to prepare for that experience even before you get there. And so, if you will create some sacred time for yourself where you're not trying to make anything happen, you're just opening up and playing and co creating with whatever comes through your connection in that moment, and you start to make that part of your experience, you might start to notice that other things start to open up, or it's much easier to open up. But as much as you can, if you feel frustrated in any way, shift to accepting what is, being in a state of peace, and knowing that you're perfect just as you are. You're everything you wish to be, you already are. And allow yourself to connect to that wholeness, knowing that your connection to the divine is natural and inherent. And that might possibly open up some new experiences to you.
Beautiful. We have a couple of questions that I think are really important to address before we wrap up today. The first comes from Veronica, who says, I love the concept of channeling and I want it, but I have a lot of difficulty believing this is true and not just another course being offered online for business purposes. Forgive me for being so direct. I don't know how else to ask this. I feel it won't happen for me, though I do have your book and I enjoy it very much.
Well, I think first off, if you have the book and you're enjoying it very much, read the book. The course obviously is going to include live sessions with me, 5 live sessions. It's also going to include a dedicated Q&A. It's also going to include a community gathering where you're going to meet other people that are all part of this experience. And so with all things we say, allow it to be choiceless. If it's not choiceless for you now, that's okay. Like I said, at some point in the future, that course will be available. There will be a wait list for that. So don't push yourself if it doesn't feel choiceless for you right now. But again, I go back to I have taught over 5,000 students around the world, and my students are really I would say the proof to you that this works. My own experience and my own channeling um, is a result of all of the things that I teach in the course. And I guess most importantly, I'll say this. I wasn't looking to learn how to channel when I started channeling the council. It wasn't even anything on my radar. I was wanting to live my highest potential. And I had a lot of questions that I couldn't find answers to anywhere. And so, much to my surprise, and absolutely unexpected, those answers started coming through me. And then I realized that I was channeling and had this ability. And I will tell you, as amazing as that was, and as beautiful as the energy was and the messages were, it was one of the most challenging, difficult times in my life because there was no one I could go to. There was no book, there was no course, there was no one teaching this, there was no one explaining. And so, really, this course and this book are what I most wish I would have had over a decade ago when I first started channeling. And one of the things that brings me the greatest joy is watching how easily, effortlessly, harmoniously, beautifully my students are channeling and how much easier it is for them, and that I can share with them some of the tips and the tools and techniques and things that I had learned along the way so that it is a more harmonious experience for you than it was for me. For me, it was very, very lonely at times. It was very emotional and difficult, and I wanted to give up. I didn't want to do it anymore. I was going through my biggest fear of losing the people I loved most in my life that I felt like they wouldn't understand. And so I took all of that and put it into the book, put it into the course, so that your experience to fully opening to the divine can be as easy and harmonious and beautiful for you as it can possibly be.
And I'll reiterate, as Sarah said, no one on our team ever encourages anyone to make a purchase or register for a course unless and until it is completely choiceless. You'll know.
You'll know. Yeah.
And we'll close with a question from Emily, who says, I've read all of your books and they're always so hard to put down. I feel called to take the new course to be in the energy with you, Sarah, and everyone else. My human would like to know, one, how will this course help advanced and professional channels? And two, how does the book You Are a Channel differ from the course material wise?
Yeah, well, first off, how they differ. There's going to be 6 additional tips that are not included in the chapters here. Each one of my previous 15 tips is a different chapter in this book. And so there will be 6 new ones that I'm super excited to share and haven't taught anywhere before. But that is part of it. There's going to be obviously processes, activations. We're going to have live channeled activations from the council that will be new and expanded to activate us all where we are now into further expansion. But I think that that's really my ultimate point is about expansion. You may have open to a particular ability and a gift, and you may be exploring that. And this course may bring into your awareness more gifts, more abilities, ways to do it in ways that are more authentic and unique to you, or incorporating things that you may have never been aware of. And uh, even little things that we're going to talk about in relation to sort of the next step beyond this, a question that I get a lot about telepathy. So there's going to be some fun little processes about how you start to open yourself up to the force field of consciousness all throughout your day and your everyday life for the symbols and the synchronicities and the messages that are right here in our field available to us that essentially make our life so much more fun, but in a way that you can navigate it with such ease. So I'm really excited about this. Myself personally, I know that I will learn so much in this course that will come from your questions and your shares and those of you who are participating. So again, there's 5 live sessions starting on July 23rd. There's also a community gathering, and then there's also a dedicated Q&A with me. So I think we're going to leave it all on the table and have the time of our lives. And I can't wait to see where we all are as we begin and then continue our journey through this experience. So if it's choiceless, as we said, I hope you will join me. Again, if you have the book and you love the book, please feel encouraged to please leave a review wherever you bought the book. It's really helpful. I read them personally, appreciate them so much, but it also gives me a lot of guidance of what things are most helpful for people who are learning how to channel or people who are professional channels and wanting to continue to expand and open to their gifts. So I appreciate your reviews so very much. And Sarah Elizabeth, thank you so much for being here with us,
Thank you for
and
having
your
me.
great
Glad to help.
contributions. And the questions were awesome. So thank you, everybody, so much for being here. I appreciate every single one of you. The best part of doing this, in addition to my amazing team, who is pretty, who you are, who's represented here today, and Sarah Elizabeth, and just getting to play and create and do what I love with people that I love, and with such an incredible community of bright, beautiful lights in the world. So thank you all for being here. I love you all. Hope to see you if it's choiceless, and I really hope you enjoyed this session today. So bye, everybody.